I give thanks to God this morning for, thank you, and I'm grateful for all the things that He's done for me. My wife is an angel person, workshop. She does workshops, and I often think about angels as my supporter, guider, helper. I didn't learn to read until I was 35 years old because I had severe dyslexia still to this day, so I read very slowly. And most of my inspiration would come to me, and then I would go to someone who knew or who could read well and check it out. Is this true or not? Am I receiving something weird? No, it's in the Bible. Where'd you get that from? I said, I just received it. So at the age of 7, as Claire said, I was called to preach. And my mother and my father, I was born Seventh Adventist. My mother married a Baptist pastor. As she said, they sent me to Catholic school. And I was always in church because Saturday you got to go to church because you're Seventh Adventist, and it's an all-day program. And Sunday, my father's a Baptist pastor, and you go to church, and it's an all-day program. And then the next morning, Monday, you go into Catholic school, so therefore you're always in church. But over the years, I have come to just be grateful. I still don't know who I am. I like to take the phrase, I am that I am, and I'm still trying to figure out who I am as I learn and study. I, too, have reached the golden age of 78, and I was told that this year would be a good year for me. So far, I think it has been. On my birthday, my wife got me a birthday present of astrology, and the stars and everything is in a good place for me. And if it's in a good place for me, it's in a good place for those that I love, those that's around me, and we can work together, and they can benefit from that energy that I carry. We're all made out of energy, and we emit vibrations of goodness, fear, joy, confusion, chaos, or love and calmness and happiness. I'm beginning to shy away from the concept of love. People say, and I used to say it too, and I have repented for it since, God is truth. And I found out God is not truth. God is not a faculty, not a thing, not a person. God uses truth. God is beyond truth. But we don't understand what God understands. We create truth until we found out it's not true. Such as Columbus said the world was flat, and we found out it's not true. And what is the other one? The Catholic Church used to believe that the sun rotated around the earth until they found out different, and it was a truth. So truth is always changing all the time. God doesn't change. And we say God is love. No, God is not love, because if you ask 100 people what love is, they give you 100 different definitions. And the concept of love and the value of love switches and changes all the time. I gave a talk in Washington the other day, and my friend said, couple of women were there, and they were commenting over what I said. And my friend said, "Oh man, they really love you." I said, "Yeah, like they love their dog and cat." They don't know what love is. You can't love me. You don't know me. How are you going to love me? You know, they see something, they like it, and they say, "Okay, that's love." And we use those terms very, very freely, without much thought. So, my title today, I use it in two ways. One, I use it if I'm speaking to political people or social people, schools or organizations. I would say the title of this talk would be Why Family Matters. Why Family Matters. When I'm talking to holy people and enlightened people like yourself, I use the title of The Kingdom of Heaven is Hiding in Plain Sight. It sounds like two way different titles. But most people who are religious want to go to heaven. I have not found out anyone yet who says, "I'm religious, I go to church, I read my Bible, and I don't care about heaven." They all want to go to heaven in some way, right? So I asked a question to a lot of young people who are studying and learning, what is heaven? Can you tell me what it is? Can you tell me where it is? These two questions. What is heaven? And can you tell me where it is? And most people say, well, heaven is a wonderful place. It's like a gold, walk on gold and whatever. Everybody have these flowery images of heaven based on John and the Isle of Patmos. He had these revelations about what heaven was. But I think the person who would know heaven more than anyone else would be Jesus. Since we claim he came from there, he should know about it. And he himself, after the three temptations in the wilderness and after being baptized by John the Baptist, his cousin, he then said, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Now, what does that mean? In his hand? Or what does that mean? And also, he said several things that was outlandish in those days. If you were a Jew in those days, he said, when you see me, you see the Father. Even to call God Father in those days was like blasphemous. You can't even use the name God. I mean, in some higher religions. And he said, when you pray, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. And he also said, when his disciples came to him once, he said, tell us about heaven. And he said, heaven is in the midst of you. So I'm sharing this with you because this concept of heaven, we all want to go there. Any of us who have some inkling about living a better life, and if you believe in reincarnation or you believe that you're coming back again, you want to hold off on heaven until you get it what? Right. Am I right? So you let me come back one more time and try it again, and as many times as necessary until I get it right. Now I'm ready to go. Right? Because we have this idea, once we go to heaven, we're not coming back anymore in this physical body. Now, you can go to a good place, and there are many people, my wife is one of them, who had what we call near-death experiences. Well, a near-death experience is not death. So you're not dead. So we really don't know what death is. A near-death is not death. That means you're hovering somewhere and you come back. Have anyone ever been to heaven and says, I've been to heaven? Well, what are you doing back here? I mean, who would really want to come back here after they've been to heaven? But we think of heaven, whatever we think heaven is. So, heaven is actually here. It's a structure. It's not a place. It's a structure. It's a design, a program. And in Genesis 1, God said something like this, and these different Bibles have different translations. Then God said in Genesis 1:24, and God said, no, I don't want 24, I want 28, sorry. And God said, and God blessed them, and God said, let there be, I don't want that one either. What do I want here? I want this, what I want. Okay, that's what I want. I want 26, I'm sorry. Then God said, let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. Let them have dominion over the earth and over the seas, over every living thing that breathes on the ground. But I'm stuck here on this word, let. It's only 3 letters. Is God asking permission? Yes, the word let. If I say, Claire, let's go to have a coffee after church. You say, I don't feel like it. I'm going to go straight home. What happens to my let? It deep implodes. So when God said, let us, he's asking a request from something or someone else or something else besides God's self. I don't like to use the word him. God is beyond him. But God's self, whatever God is asking permission. Let us. Is that possible that we now can do this? And then God is creating this image and likeness of himself. I had to say him in that point just to bring it out. Like I don't like to use the word black and white, but I use it every now and then so people can understand what I'm talking about. There's no black people, there's no white people. We have named each other these funny names, and then we act upon what we hear. So many people think God is a he, and they start worshiping God as a he. Some think it's a she. But God is beyond all that, right? So, who is God talking to at this moment? Some say the angels. Some say the filaments of the earth. Some say the dirt, the rocks, whatever you want to say. But God is including something else in his creation. So what possibly could that be? Every single one of us in here, I'm going to cut to the chase because I only have another 10 minutes or so. Every one of us in here came from something. What was that something that we came from? We came from a family, a father and a mother. If you look at the structure of an intact family, it looks like a diamond from that area. God is in the top. Man, woman on each side, and the child is in the bottom. God, husband and wife, child. God, father and mother and child. You start off with a man and a woman, right? Two men can't have a child. Two women can't. So let's start off with reality, okay? Man, woman. And they love each other, so they turn into a husband and a wife. And they love each other so much they wanted to reproduce themselves, so they became a father and a mother. Who made the father? Did the father make himself? Did the mother make himself? Who made the father and the mother? The child. Because if you don't have a child, you're not a mother or a father. In the same way as God made Holy Spirit, as God made us, we made God. Does that make sense? How can God be God without us? To worship and thank God and praise God and want to be like God and want to treat people who have God in them with respect and dignity? We can't. So in this diamond shape is a structure, listen to this, is a structure that God created, and it is called, from God's view, the kingdom of God. Because Jesus said it, God dwells in the midst of you. Also it says in this book here, the Bible, that where there's two or three gathered, touching and agreeing upon the same thing, what? God is in the midst. Isn't that interesting? So then, why? Because the only physical thing, and if it in science is in here, we can tell this, the only physical thing on the earth that we can see in 4 dimensions is a family. Nothing else. Everything else is in 3 dimensions or 2 dimensions or 1 dimension. Why? Because in the family, there is what we call eternity and now and the future. The past, the present, and the future. And there is parents and grandparents and great-grandparents. On the father's side, there's triple objective purpose. On the mother's side, there's triple objective purpose because the father's a man, a husband, and a father on the same side. A woman, wife, a mother. And each one of those triplets have a purpose that they have to live through to become who they are. Am I right or right? Right? You cannot claim you're a mother if you don't have a child. So if you're a woman, you were first, in order to get to be a woman, you had to be a child first. So all of these positions are very important. But the child is in the position of complete dominion and power. Stay with me. This is going to be quick, but stay with me. I have a mother-in-law. She's on the other side now. And my wife had a mother-in-law on the other side now, right? But if we never had children, her and I, that's all they would be. They would never be grandparents. You see? Now, what if Claire and I got divorced? What happens to our mother-in-laws? Sorry. Don't come over here. Your daughter don't live here no more. We don't need to see you. But if she said, I don't come to see you, I come to see my grandchild. Oh, okay. Sorry. You have rights. You see how that works? Amazing, isn't it? So who has the power? The grandchild. The child has the power over the whole family. Because the child makes the family. We can have dogs and cats, turtles and fish. And that's nice. We can name them. Oh, and that's all good. But what happens is there is a structure that God dwells in. That structure is in that family. Every single one of us came from that structure. Am I right? That creates eternity. And as long as science can find out, humankind has been on this earth. They cannot number when it has not been. And because of that beginning, and as long as we're here, we're going to keep on doing what? Multiplying. And as long as we keep multiplying, we will be here forever. So we are an eternal being physically as long as we keep multiplying. Am I right? So who else is eternal? God. You see where I'm going with this? God is eternal, and so are we. So the image and likeness of God is our eternalness. So what are we? Are we a man or a woman? Yeah, we call ourselves that. But what we really are souls that have no sexual orientation and no color and no race and no creed. We're souls because we came from God. We can call ourselves anything we want. But when it says in this book here, when God breathed the breath of life into Adam, Adam then became something. What did he become? A living soul. Before that, he was just a bunch of clay. So our value is not our name or our fame or our color or our race or where we've come from, or our background or our degrees. Our fame and our relationship to God is our souls. Not even our spirit. The only thing that looked like God, that came directly from God, is our souls. And that's what we need to work on constantly. So to become like God, then I'm closing on this point. How then this fourth dimension move into another dimension, which is called, my teacher would call it the fifth dimension. That was Reverend Moon. He would say the fifth dimension is beyond time and space. It's something like a dream. If you ever dream, any dreamers in here, raise your hand. Any dreamers? I dream all the time. I close my eyes, I'm dreaming. I just close my eyes and I'm dreaming. I'm not even asleep, I'm start dreaming. I guess it's part of my dyslexia substitute. But you can be driving a car in a dream, and next thing you know, you're sitting at the table eating, and you don't know when it switched. Right? And then you're eating, and all of a sudden you're at the beach, and you don't know when it switched, and there's a seagull running over you, and the seagull turns into a dog running, and it just boom, 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 boom. No time, no, and you were on the street 15 seconds, and you've been all around the world. Right? It's amazing, isn't it? That's how the spirit world is. But the soul is at rest. The soul is peaceful. The soul is resting in a place where God took it from, went back there. And we become fused. And you can't tell us from God. You can't tell God from us. That's why Jesus said, when you see me, you see the Father. Because the Father is where? In me. And where am I? In the Father. That's an amazing thing. I'm working on the day that you can say, hey, Levi, I'm talking to Claire. Because when you see Claire, you see Levi. And when you see Levi, you see Claire. We have fused into one. And so in India, they say namaste, meaning the God in me recognizes and greets the God in you. So therefore, I respect you. I won't hurt you. I won't rob you. I won't rape you. I won't disrespect you. I will honor you and I will, what? Serve you. If we all had that attitude, thus the kingdom of heaven would be where? On earth. So it's here already. The structure is here. We just have to fill in the blanks. And then it's somewhere else in this book it says, what's bound on earth is bound in heaven. What's loose on earth is loose in heaven. Which also means, I hate to tell you this, if we don't create heaven here on earth, you're not going to have it up there. And that's probably a disappointment, right? I don't want to hear that. But anyhow, what I want to encourage us, and I'm finished with this. If any of us had the ability, the capability, or the authority, whatever you would need to build the kingdom, would you hesitate? No, you wouldn't. None of us would. We would do it. I'm telling you this morning, you have the ability to do it. But you can't do it without me, and I can't do it without you. I cannot. And the greatest thing that disturbs me now is when my wife is upset with me. Because I know if she's upset with me, God is not happy. And I don't want that to happen. Though the same with our friends, our relatives. We don't want them to be upset with us. We want what was said that when my brother was playing the piano, he said, my brother was always happy. And I want to be around people who say, you know, Levi was always a good person. He was always a wonderful person. And when they can say that about you when you're gone, it's the best thing in the world. It's your report card after you've done. But who? He's dead? Hell, when did he die? Damn, well, I'm glad he's gone. You know, I mean, you don't want that. You don't want that. So anyhow, I close with a prayer and song. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Sing with me, bread. And forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Why? For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory. When? Forever. One more time. And ever.